nearly 18 years, a woman in Colorado Springs sat in prison, serving a life sentence convicted of starting a house fire that killed her 3 children. This week, a judge overturned that conviction, saying prosecutors hid evidence. Mark Salinger found out one of the lawyers on that case just got in trouble for something similar in his new gig.
In March of 2003, a house fire in Colorado Springs killed 3 children. Deborah Nichols and her husband Tim were soon arrested and eventually convicted of murdering their kids. Prosecutors allege they started the fire to collect insurance money to fuel a drug addiction. Her lawyers never stopped working on the case.
I don't believe a crime occurred. This is a case where it was a house fire.
In 2023, we spoke with Janine McCabe. She represented Deborah Nichols, who always maintained her innocence.
There's really no evidence to say that this was an intentional fire started by an accelerant.
3 years ago, she didn't know what we now know today. This week, a judge in El Paso County vacated Nichols' conviction after determining that prosecutors in the El Paso County District Attorney's Office withheld exculpatory evidence from a CBI investigator who said there was no sign that accelerants were used in the fire. That revelation was never made public by prosecutors or shared in court. The suppressed exculpatory evidence in this case undermines the core foundation of the prosecutor's case, the judge wrote, overturning the conviction.
Deb Nichols' case is, in my opinion, the most egregious example of prosecutorial misconduct so far in Colorado history.
Ira Seaton is a defense attorney who now devotes her time towards examining prosecutorial misconduct.
You have a woman who's nearly been in prison for 20 years while the prosecutors have been sitting on top of this absolute evidence of innocence.
One of the 2 prosecutors that secured Nichols' conviction back in 2008 was Jeff Lindsay. Lindsay is now the Republican district attorney in the nearby 11th Judicial District. Just last month, Lindsay and the entire DA's office he now runs were disqualified and kicked off a completely separate murder case in Fremont County for what a judge called a pattern of discovery violations, withholding evidence.
What kind of damage can be done to a community when prosecutors are not held accountable for lying and hiding evidence of innocence?
Lindsay told me today he was the junior prosecutor on the Nichols case nearly 2 decades ago and hasn't paid attention to the case through its appeals. News articles at the time showed he gave the opening statements to the jury in the trial that would eventually convict Deborah Nichols of murder. The El Paso County District Attorney is now Michael Allen, who is also running for State Attorney General as a Republican. He was not the DA at the time of Nichols' conviction. His office told me today they disagree with the district court's ruling overturning the conviction and are prepared to retry the case against Deborah Nichols. Kyle.
But it's such a fundamental issue, right, Mark, that the horror show, the nightmare that they outline here, that prosecutors had evidence, kept it from the defense, kept it from the judge, kept it from the jury.
And the impact that can have, nearly 2 decades in prison. Again, now this will go to trial again in theory. We'll see what happens if that happens, Kyle.
All right, Mark Salinger, thank you. Colorado's having a Salmonella summer. We lead the country with 110 current cases. Public health leaders are hopeful that, like a burrito tainted with salmonella-covered jalapenos, this too will pass quickly. The State Health Department put out a warning in late July after a spike in salmonella cases. They eventually determined the culprit putting in an express lane in our intestines was jalapenos from Chipotle in Qdoba. The state epidemiologist says there's no more risk to the public because the particular peppers crawling in wee beasties have been removed from menus. But they expect the number of cases to rise as people peel themselves off the porcelain throne long enough to tell public health workers, whoa, something got me good.
So we believe that has resolved, but it can take a while for cases to make their way to public health, for us to interview cases and gather information. We do think the counts will still continue to increase in the coming days, but we hope that it's really just going to be small numbers, cases that are sort of lingering out there right now.
As part of a nationwide outbreak they're tracking, most of the cases are concentrated in Colorado and Minnesota. 6 Coloradans got sick enough they ended up in the hospital. Flock surveillance cameras are watching us, and it turns out they had plans to listen to us, specifically to listen for our screams. When Spencer Soisher started asking questions, he had a tough time getting the truth out of Flock again.
Some chicken is finger-licking good. Church's chicken makes you want to holler, but don't. This Church's chicken is across the street from one of Commerce City's Raven devices, which up until recently could listen and detect when someone was in, quote, distress.
They were part of the audio detection devices, so our gunshot detection devices.
Jeremy Jenkins oversees Commerce City Police's real-time crime center, which has a bunch of Flock cameras that see you and more than 20 of Flock's audio detection devices, Ravens, that hears.
The primary uses that we use it for are gunshot detection and car crash.
From earlier this year and until last month, Jenkins said Commerce City's Raven devices had updated technology, Flock's new human distress detection feature that listens for human screams.
I don't have any information on why or how we were chosen for it to be rolled out to, but we happen to be one of the agencies it was rolled out to.
That yelling and listening function generated so much national pushback that Flock pulled the product down last month. Over the weekend, Greeley police arrested a man they say took a crowbar to their Ravens before throwing them in a gutter filled with algae-infested water and telling police the devices were spying on him and children. Unlike Commerce City, Greeley said its Ravens have never had the distress function.
We never had the opportunity to vet that technology to see if it was reliable or if it was something that was valuable to us because we never even got a detection on it while it was active.
We asked Flock if the function was part of the newer devices or just a software loaded on. The company emailed us, quote, "The distress detection was never deployed to any law enforcement agencies. The feature remained in an internal research and development phase." So we told Flock that Commerce City just interviewed with us, told us it had it. Flock called us back to say, yeah, they may have had the option to turn on a remote electronic toggle switch for the function, but the technology was never actually there.
We do try to be as transparent as possible with which tools we're employing and let our community know what tools are available.
We reached out to 11 agencies around the area today. Only Greeley and Commerce City said it did have those. Flock says another department also does, and only Commerce City told us it has ever had that human distress function on it at all. They weren't sure how it was going to help them, but wanted to find out if it would.
So somebody screams,
Yep.
Armed officers show up and, was it you? Was it you? I mean, it's just kind of like openly dystopian. It's really wild stuff. But like you said, there's huge pushback on it.
Well, yeah, and if there were any issues at that Church's Chicken and anybody yelled, I mean, they'd get there quick. It's only a couple blocks from
Sure.
the police department, but yeah.
How was the chicken?
It was pretty good, a little greasy, but it was good.
All right, good. That's a fair. That's
6.5.
It's an honest review. Spencer Soisher, thank you. Republicans on the FCC today eliminated the cap on the number of local television stations one company can own, paving the way for mega mergers like the acquisition of 9 News and its parent company by the parent company of Fox 31. That deal is essentially paused. It's tied up by a lawsuit. The FCC's move today was blasted as illegal by the lone Democratic commissioner who said that only Congress can lift the limit. So expect that this will end up in court. Supporters of eliminating the ownership cap say local television news won't survive without consolidation and cost cutting to enable the business to compete against the tech giants. The head of the FCC pitches this as a political realignment on the airways to, quote, restore balance. Opponents of unlimited consolidation say this will lead to local journalists being laid off by companies that have aligned themselves politically with President Trump. A judge has paused the acquisition of 9 News and Tegna by Nexstar, while a bipartisan lawsuit from state attorneys general challenges that deal on anti-monopoly grounds. Nexstar, which has declared itself to be the anti-fake news, has said that stations in the same cities will be combined. Today, a judge found that Nexstar violated the court's order to keep Tegna separate during the pause, calling Nexstar's actions, quote, brazen and, quote, entirely disingenuous.
There's a lot of really good people in the world doing really great things that, they choose to be doing.
A teenager in Longmont was inspired by those who give back, so now he's using his own talents to help those who help others. And we will look back at some of the most memorable people we have met during next 10-year run on the air. We'll start with the cowboy at King Soopers, fastest grocery slinger this side of the Mississippi. Next. Colorado Springs, watch your ash. An invasive insect that's been tearing up ash trees on the Front Range is making its way south. The emerald ash borers popped up in cities and towns in Colorado since it was first detected in Boulder more than a decade ago. City leaders in the Springs say they have been preparing for the possible invasion. They're ready to put their response plan into action. They'll have their hands full. 1 in 5 trees in the Springs is an ash. The city will manage public trees through monitoring, treatment, removal when necessary, and they're asking property owners to do the same with their own ash trees. Hope that you enjoyed the little break from the heat, because we are in for another brutally hot weekend in Denver. We have heard from some of you concerned that we have not mentioned climate change as the reason for this month's extremely high highs. Chris Bianchi says it's not that simple.
It is hot outside today. Does that mean that that is the impact of a warming climate? I'd be careful with that. I want to show you what is the impact of a warming climate, and I want to do it for us specifically here in Denver, because I often hear this time of year, ooh, is this climate change? Is this day climate change? Is this extreme climate change? This is climate change. 7 straight months with above average temperatures here in Denver. And then you get even bigger than that, 7 straight years with above average temperatures here in Denver. And then within the last few months, some more anecdotal examples. We've had our top 3 hottest Februaries, March, July, and December's on record just within the last 8 months alone. So within the last 8 months, we've set a top 3 record for a warmest month on record within the last little while. But this is the best way to look at it. Look at it from a big picture, right? Colorado, statewide temperatures gradually increasing. The spikes are higher and the lows are higher as well. Again, look at it from a big picture and think of it like the Rockies. The Rockies might win a game, they might lose a game, but you can't look at an 162-game season based on one little snippet, based on one game, and same with climate change. You can't look at it from one single day. For example, remember, we set a record low yesterday as well, so just be careful using day-to-day anecdotes when talking about climate change. Speaking of warm, well, we've got high pressure overhead. And the results, heat advisory for us on Saturday, as we get really hot over the next couple of days, with high near 100 on Saturday, and then on Sunday, potential impact alert because of high near 100 yet again.
Did he just say that climate change is the Colorado Rockies? We're doomed. There are a ton of nonprofits doing great work in Colorado these days. Getting the word out about it takes money and time that a lot of small organizations just don't have. One kid in Longmont's helping him knock things off their to-do list. He's doing it for free.
Drone photography is really interesting because it's a perspective that you often rarely ever get. My name is Braden Macchia. I started my project called Drones for Dreams. We do free photography and videography work for any nonprofits or just organizations that are doing good in the world. This is my makeshift office where I spend all the time taking calls, editing photos, editing videos. When my aunt was volunteering for Veterans Community Project, that was the spring of my 8th grade year. So that was 2023. So that is the first project I technically did for Drones for Dreams, and that is where it started. If we were gonna spend $500 to $1,000 on a drone shoot, I'd rather that be spent on helping one more veteran, getting more food on the table in a food pantry, helping more animals. We've worked with 35 plus organizations. Typically I'm doing, 1 to 2 per month. The reaction that I get always makes me feel so good because they are blown away by the footage, even if I don't think it's good. And they're always so thankful to be able to share it. All the time that I spend, whether it's shooting, outreaching, editing, it makes it all worth it. I think Drones for Dreams has also taught me there's a lot of really good people in the world doing really great things that they choose to be doing, which I think is really cool and just a perspective that I wouldn't have got without this project.
Good for him, that's impressive. Hey, we're looking back on some of our favorite stories from the early days of Next as we mark 10 years on the air this week. Tonight, the Ballad of the King Soopers Cowboy. Hey, a reminder, you can catch Next streaming each night, 6 p.m. wherever you watch. You found us tonight, even though we weren't on 9 News. Good for you, you're like a detective. Next is also a podcast wherever you find those. All month, we're celebrating Next's 10th anniversary, sharing some of our favorite stories, especially from the early years of the show. Tonight, we take it back to 2017, when Next video producer Cody Broadway introduced us to the King Soopers Cowboy, slinging groceries and smiles in Arvada. Here's that story, as introduced by a much younger and still full of life news anchor.
Let me ask you, why do you go to the grocery store that you do? Is it just location, prices, selection?
A particular employee? There's a King Soopers in Arvada where there's a cowboy who brings them in and makes them feel welcome. We meet him through the lens of our Cody Broadway.
Cowboy is one of our courtesy clerks. He's been here for a long time. Very enjoyable guy, happy-go-lucky, loves to say partner all the time. He really engages with the customers and it makes them feel at home.
I'll be here, sir.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Cowboy is one of our special needs people that just helps us do almost anything, you know. Everybody comes in and they come in and say hey to Cowboy.
Hi, Cowboy.
Hello, good partners. Going on there, partners. Teach your mom a hard time. I got mom. I got family. Push buggies, partner. Push buggies. I bag groceries and I give everybody else a hard time, partner.
He's always smiling. That is a key of being up front in this environment, and he's making other people smile, and that's contagious, and that's kind of, you know, it kind of spreads around the front end, and it's fun. It's a fun atmosphere.
Thank you for
You're
helping.
welcome, man. Katrina, hard time over there. Can I do walking? Can I do that?
What are you gonna do to give her a hard time for?
No, because I have to give her a hard time. I pick on her sometimes.
He likes to tease people, so he'll, a lot of the customers, as they come through, will go, oh, there's big trouble now. But it's just his way of kind of chatting and talking to them and kind of breaking the ice before they get to the check stand.
I make them smile. I make them smile. If they don't smile, I have to go on and give them a hard time for it.
You know, he's a great guy. Fun to be around, fun to talk to. He's got a lot of good ideas. He's a very intriguing personality.
You know, he's a good kid, and he's doing a good job, and come in and say hi to him.
Come on, partner. Start there, partner.
Cowboy's been working at King Soopers for 31 years. We met him after we asked you to help introduce us to interesting people you know in your neighborhood. Chrissy emailed us and wrote, grocery shopping may not be a chore that people look forward to doing, especially during busy times of year, but with people like Cowboy there to greet you and make you feel special, well, Chrissy writes, it certainly changes the experience for the best. It's amazing. 9 years ago, I remember that story like it was yesterday. You meet some people even through the TV and you never ever forget them. If you have a favorite next memory, story, or if you just know of an outstanding Coloradan you think we should all meet, let us know. Email next@9news.com or text us at 303-871-1491. If you know how to get my hair to stand up like that again, you can email with that. Did you like that, Marilyn?
You've used a little less product these days.
There's a lot of volume up there.
Yeah.
Feedback next. Feedback from Rory says, think it's a good time to give to first responders with all the fires burning in Colorado. Rory, if you or anybody else knows about nonprofits helping first responders in Colorado, shoot me a note. I'd be interested. And a text, I like the color of Kyle's blazer. Teal.